And we're back with more of the San Diego Chargers franchise. Welcome everyone to preseason year 4. Today we're going to go through the preseason highlights and see how various players look and how this team looks as we enter the 4th year of the series. So of course in the offseason our big move we made was trading Phillip Rivers to help us select a left tackle, who's actually going to play right tackle for us. This is Dalen Hoyt. He's playing on the right side because that's where Khalil Mack, Justin Houston, and Von Miller line up. In the second round, we selected safety Tyrone Brightful. Not a very popular pick among many of you watching the series, but a player that I think can be a very good safety for our scheme. In the middle of the draft, though, we took some really intriguing pass rushers. Antonio Pierre-Paul was one of them. We now have an ideal player to bring off the bench when our starters get tired. That rotation is going to be fun this year. Also, Kendall Treader, a strong defensive tackle who could be our everyday nose tackle or might play more in our sub packages as another pass rusher off the bench. Both players have tremendous upside and were two of the highlights of this draft class. Now let's get into the preseason games, and up first, we were up against the Indianapolis Colts, who had Melvin Gordon, our old running back. They signed him to a deal this offseason, and immediately we see him back in San Diego, making the first down catch on this first snap. Then we see him get a carry here from the shotgun as Gordon is taken down by Christopher Costin. Now we're going to see the Colts again in Week 17, so just keep that in mind. Later in the drive, here's Andrew Luck looking to go deep, testing the defense, and Christopher Costin takes this out of the air. One of the best plays I've ever seen him make. If I had seen this more often, maybe we don't select Tyrone Brightful. But that was one heck of a play by the former undrafted safety. So with Gordon now in Indianapolis, that opens up the spot for CJ Prosise to be our lead back. I love his skill set, and he's going to have a big role on the offense. But our biggest change this year is, of course, new starting quarterback Cole Hartmann. Phillip Rivers, after many seasons in San Diego, is now with the Miami Dolphins. So it's time to turn things over to our second-year quarterback. And of course I wanted to see what the offense would look like with him. He only threw about 10 passes last year, so we hadn't really seen much of his arm as he overthrows this one, intercepted by TJ Green. We of course need to see throws like that get under control from the 25-year-old quarterback. Now going back to the Colts offense here, this is Melvin Gordon, who can't shake out his former teammates, as Denzel Perryman delivers the hammer and welcomes Gordon back to San Diego. You thought that spin was going to work on Denzel? Come on now, Melvin. Go back to the offense now. Hartman trying to rebound after the interception. A little more mobile than Rivers and throws on the run pretty nicely here to Keenan Allen, who doesn't go down very easily. But at least we have a great supporting cast around Hartman to give him a chance to be successful. CJ Prosise now, I think that he is basically a complete running back. He runs with power, he has speed, and he's a phenomenal pass-catching back. He's going to have a big role on this offense, but it might be somewhat of a hot hand approach, while Prosise does play all third downs and focuses a lot on the pass game. Now we're into the second quarter and beyond now, so backups for this section of the video as Taj Wilson, second-year undrafted linebacker, makes the play. He's got more competition now for that front seven to get some snaps with us bringing in Trey Flowers. Gordon Urban here at quarterback in his third season with us. He's very mobile, doesn't have a strong arm, but is a very different style quarterback. And threw some really nice passes early on in this game, but Derek Anelli can't haul in this one. This first half was winding down. Urban here taking a shot for KC Wilcox, who had a great preseason last year. Ended up making the final roster, had 3 catches last year, not much playing time, it's a crowded receiver room, and he's worked his way up from being a 7th round practice squad player. Look at Urban here on the move to Harmon Whitaker. He tore up the preseason, of course, in Season 2, and it's just so hard to find playing time for all these different receivers. Great play here in the end zone, trying to go with a jump ball to Whitaker as it gets taken away for an interception. But if anything were to happen to either Keenan Allen or Reggie Shepard, it's great to have a player like Whitaker ready to step in. By the way, Jatavis Brown here making some run stops. Really looked like a different player in this preseason. And there's Joshua Perry knocking that pass away. I was focused on Brown and Perry for that middle linebacker primary backup role. Here's Urban to the outside later in the game, and Casey Wilcox again getting open. He is the fastest receiver now on our team with Travis Benjamin aging. I think it's a natural fit for him to work into that slot role and do a lot of underneath catch and run style plays, but also the vertical game. And you can see how he stood out here amongst the backups. We also had Steven Smiley, our rookie third-round running back. He's big, he's got good speed, I like his versatility, but I was really focused on how well Casey Wilcox was playing. And even Gordon Urban was showing that he could play as a good backup quarterback. Got some pressure here as well with Antonio Pierre-Paul teaming up with Taj Wilson. Now I view APP as a backup to Corey Liuget primarily because Bosa, I don't want to take that man off the field too often, but Liuget's now aging a bit, and maybe Pierre-Paul can be groomed into a future starter. Now here's Zach Bogan making a catch, playing some receiver. I'm a big Zach Bogan fan as well. Of course, he's a great kick returner, but I also want to see if he can contribute on offense this year. And the quarterback you're seeing here is undrafted rookie Cornelius Gunn, who shows off his arm on this play as he finds Harmon Whitaker down the sideline. I love having a quarterback on the practice squad to develop, and with Frank Sanderson being picked up last year off of our practice squad, now I want to see if Cornelius Gunn can become that player. Now, there wasn't a lot of scoring in this first game, 10-3 at this point. Colts trying to tie it, and this pass goes outside as Michael Scantlebury gets beat. Scantlebury is a good zone corner, not very good in man coverage, so it's an ideal fit for when we're playing cover 3. Now, this pass to the end zone went for a touchdown to tie things up, and this was given up by backup safety Gilbert Calhoun, an undrafted player who played this a little too passively. So it forced overtime for us. Cornelius Gunn overthrowing Harmon Whitaker. Strong arm, but still learning how to best utilize it. The accuracy not where it needs to be. One thing you'll see here is really good run stopping by Antonio Pierre-Paul. I mentioned wanting his pass rush ability. Well, he showed good run stopping on this possession. He's strong. He can disengage blockers and also get to the quarterback, as he makes another play in the ground game here again. Now, we didn't end up winning this first game, but of course, preseason, not worried about the wins and losses. But I'm already looking forward to playing against the Colts again in Week 17. Then we're on to rainy Cincinnati as CJ Prosise getting loose. He's fast. He has great size. I mentioned him running with power. He's not like a power back, but he can get yards after contact. Just want to clarify that a bit. I traded for him because I do believe in him as a 3-down running back. Cole Hartmann, after a holding penalty, floating this up, and that's taken away. Rather unlucky that a player would make such a phenomenal play on that. But Cincinnati going to offense as Gio Bernard juking out Casey Hayward here, picking up around 11 yards on the play. Gio has done a great job since Jeremy Hill has left, and he's had basically all of the touches now in that backfield. There's a deflection made by Atachu, so back to our offense. Hartman trying to get familiar here with his tight end as Hunter Henry takes a huge hit on this play that leaves him hurt. And this hit did end Hunter Henry's preseason. I'll have an injury update for you after the Cincinnati game here. So that made way for Derek Anelli to get some snaps, and here's a well-placed football by Hartman, and Anelli racing inside the 20. He's another undrafted player that has been developing and has been our second tight end on the depth chart. Hartman here, better protection, but eventually Hoyt does give up the rush to Carlos Dunlap. Hartman definitely more mobile than Phillip Rivers and a much better thrower on the run as he hits Derek Anelli here moving to his right. And then some pressure given up, that's Geno Atkins as he goes after Brandon Scherff, our big free agent signing. Scherff is a great run blocker. That's going to be a big help for us. But his pass blocking isn't his strength. Let's go to the backups now in the Cincinnati game as Steven Smiley here showing his ability to fight through contact and grind out those extra yards. 3rd down and 11 as that's a catch downfield for Sylvester Arsenault, a late round pick for us. Last year spent time on the practice squad. But our defense is giving up some pretty big plays here. The backup secondary wasn't all that impressive to me, so I wasn't really feeling great about our depth in that area. But the pass rush was certainly something else. We didn't see much of Brandon Yancey last year, but he definitely stood out in this preseason as he chases down McCarron on this play. I definitely enjoyed seeing the offense run a bit differently with Gordon Urban's mobility as he throws great on the run here to Sylvester Arsenault, who ran a great route on that play. Later on defense, we're getting beat deep. Michael Scantlebury giving up the 57-yard touchdown. Doesn't have breakaway speed or anything, but I think that he is a decent cover 3 corner. It's just he doesn't want to be in these situations against fast receivers. Now, with our changes in the backfield, I had to see what Zach Bogan could do with some carries and some catches. We know what he can do on kickoff, so this speed is no surprise. Could Zach Bogan become a legitimate offensive threat for us this year? This is a 70-yard touchdown with that breakaway speed. Bogan has definitely become one of my favorite players in this series, so I definitely want to get him more playing time than he's seen on offense in the past. Heading back to defense, there's a play fake from McCarron, and again, they're just beating us down the field, and Jacob Tamme here spitting out Trevor Amato. We can't even catch up to him. It was really ugly for our backup secondary in coverage. Later, again, more offense here from McCarron as he fires, complete again. Great separation. This time they beat Stephon Lane in man-to-man coverage. Let's go back to the offense now. Cornelius Gunn handing off to Darius Jackson. He was the running back I brought in this offseason to try and compete for a roster spot. He has good speed. There you see him catch the football. You all know I like bringing in all these running backs. Heading back to the defensive side now. A jump ball in the end zone. And how about Larry Wilbur taking this away? Tremendous concentration as he gets both feet down. Going back to the offense, we go outside here to Zach Bogan. Little routine play, but Bogan shaken up. Hunter Henry left the game earlier, and now Zach Bogan had to leave this game and would not return. So a big injury update here once we get through the highlights of this game as Taj Wilson makes a nice stop. Definitely want to see him hopefully take that next step this year. McCarron outside. Still, we're not defending very much. Trevor Amato always seems to be close. He's fast and rangy, but he's just not breaking up any of these passes. He is a good tackler, though. I think he's a good box safety that's faster than most. So that's why I'm intrigued so much by his skill set. This time a good run stop by Kendall Treader. And if he wants to be our starting nose tackle, he's going to have to do well in the run game as Stephen Smiley rips off a big run here. He's faster than Barry Nsekhe. I think he's a bit more versatile, but we'll see who proves to be the better back because they're such similar in skill set. Going back to defense, Scantlebury still giving up some passes. This goes down to the 10-yard line. Cincinnati up in this game 27-17 as we go back to Stephen Smiley. Definitely wanted to see what his game was all about. But also Cornelius Gunn. Off the mark here, missing KC Wilcox. So now for the injury update, and it's not good news. Hunter Henry would miss 5 weeks and Zach Bogan 7. So these are injuries that are going to have these two players miss regular season action. Our starting tight end plus our starting kick returner. Into game 3 now as we see Preseason here make the catch. Eric Kendricks on the tackle. A good defense here for Hartmann to face as he tries throwing this to Harmon Whitaker. Picked off by Xavier Rhodes. After seeing those two injuries, though, I didn't want to see Keenan Allen or Reggie Shepard anymore in this preseason, so they were done. And Travis Benjamin here has that jarred free by Harrison Smith. So he couldn't connect with Whitaker, couldn't connect with Benjamin, but we can connect with KC Wilcox. Now it's a chance for him to play as the starting slot receiver, the role that maybe he eventually has as his role, which would be a great story just to see him coming up from a practice squad player and then making all sorts of plays. But Travis Benjamin did come back with this great catch down the field later for 29. Handing this off, Preseason pushed back. It's a very fierce Viking defense. And their offense isn't too bad either. Adrian Peterson here testing our run defense as Tyrone Brightful has to race down to make the spot. Wanted to get him some snaps here with the starters. Teddy Bridgewater then testing us downfield. That beats Leonard Howell and gets in between him and Brightful to Stephon Diggs. And he'd go back to Diggs later, beating Caesar Butler here on the outside to get inside the 15. Teddy then on 1st and 10. Looking short, it's tipped and intercepted by Leonard Howell. The big focus for me on defense this year is creating more turnovers. One way or another, I want more takeaways. Look at Casey Wilcox, though. I just could not get over him making all sorts of plays in this preseason. We're going to some backups now. Scantlebury beat deep. Not a very good preseason for him whatsoever, especially when offenses wanted to test him vertically. 10-3 Vikings later, as now it's time for Barry and Secchi to get some carries. You can see not quite the burst of Smiley, but that's never been what Secchi's game is about. He gets yards after contact, and he gets big runs after contact. That's what he's known for in this series. Gordon Urban here off play action. He's going deep. Guess who? Casey Wilcox! Play after play, again he was stealing the show here in the preseason. He's making all the tough plays, and even when he's not separating that much. Back to some defense, and now a blitz sent there. That's Tyrone Brightful, just trying to get him involved in as many ways as possible. Here's Kevin Hogan again back to the air. We get the pressure, though. Yancey's there along with Antonio Pierre-Paul. They both win their battles here. Not a good play for Kevin Hogan. Later in the game, going back to offense, Barry and Secchi picking up the first down. Then we jump right back to defense, and off the play action here, Kevin Hogan lobbing, and again, we can't make the play. Brightful was close, but not close enough. And Tyrus Sinclair here, he is a really good running back. I've liked a lot of what I've seen from him, but Antonio Pierre-Paul makes the play that time. Then they try some option here, and Brandon Yancey is all over it. Perhaps some more snaps coming Yancey's way this season. Cornelius Gunn going up top. Casey Wilcox, absolutely ridiculous. This time for 41 yards. With Zach Bogan injured, I at least wanted to see Wilcox become our primary return man, but these performances were begging for him to get real offensive snaps. Gunn downfield, Wilcox lost the football, but still showing the ability to make all these plays downfield. I was still very much impressed with him. But then back to Tyrus Sinclair. He's got the spin on Amato, makes another move on Brightful, eventually taken down across the 50. He's a really good running back. That's one of the better backups in the league. Kevin Hogan on first down has that knocked away. Darius Gums had some good moments as well. Another undrafted player who's developed. And here's a play made by Jatavis Brown. He's a coverage linebacker primarily, but I was really impressed by his run defense. Later, Hogan rolling in trouble and chased down. Antonio Pierre-Paul having a productive preseason. Back to Cornelius Gunn and the offense here. Check out this throw. This time on target to Harmon Whitaker. I did want to see some more of Darius Jackson as he finds a small crease here. It was negated by a flag, but still a decent play. Then Gunn rolling here and finding Joey Rainey, who tries to hurdle a defensive back, and it didn't work, but you know I appreciate that effort. Just looking for any young players to make a mark. Setting up a screen here, and a great play made here by the Vikings. I just like that deflection. Third down then for Cornelius Gunn, trying to go up the seam. It's intercepted by Joe Corner. And keep that name in the back of your mind for later. Vikings offense later. Look at Tyrus Sinclair. He shoves away Brown, and he's shoved out after a gain of 18. Then they go back to him. Sinclair bounces off Pierre-Paul, but eventually loses the football, and it's recovered by Josh Perry. This was forced by Taj Wilson, and we gave it back on the same play. Oh well. One more preseason game. Cole Hartmann is trying to get his mind right and get ready for the regular season. So one final game here against San Francisco and their newly acquired quarterback, Tyrod Taylor. So we'll spend some time watching these starters in this game. Tyrod here under some pressure. Good job getting havoc there, Jeremiah Atachu. That's a big part of our defensive success, but then finding Albert Wilson here on the crossing pattern, they do get a conversion. Getting into field goal range, Tyrod fakes, takes a chance down the middle, knocked away there by Casey Hayward. Going to our offense now, it's CJ Prosise, who is on the wrong end of the hit stick there, gains 7. Then Hartmann back to pass as he fires down the middle. Wilcox is there again, looking like a natural slot receiver with the starting offense. I just can't say how much I was impressed by his play in this preseason. Later a third down, and we get a little greedy here, forcing one to Benjamin. It's picked off by Navarro Bowman. Still going strong. But we had one more chance here to try and get Hartmann a good possession under his belt as he finds Harmon Whitaker here on the outside. Then to the air again, this time Hartmann short for Casey Wilcox. Short gain, and Wilcox was shaken up. I was not happy to see this. Wilcox now injured. He did not return to the game, leaving him, Bogan, and Hunter Henry all injured. We continue on though as Hartmann throws a great pass to the outside on the deep out to Sylvester Arsenault. And then handing this off, Prosise here getting a block. And a decent pickup here again. Then 3rd and 6. And an open pass on the outside. Harmon Whitaker gets out of bounds. Just trying to have one good possession here to end things. And Hartmann up the seam, laying it into Sylvester Arsenault, who also was catching my attention. Now had more chances to make some plays. One last play for Hartmann, and he saved his best for last. Perfect throw to Travis Benjamin. And a San Diego touchdown. Not a bad finish here for the starting offense. Backups the rest of the way now as Geno Smith is in at quarterback. And how about this stop? Yancey once again. Hard to not be impressed by his play. Then after driving inside the red zone here, Geno Smith fires to Frost, touchdown. Just getting that separation off of Trevor Amato. I'm sorry there weren't more plays in pass defense for us. We just weren't making any. Here's Gordon Urban flushed outside the pocket, just buying time for Arsenault to race across the field. Sylvester Arsenault, while being overshadowed a bit by Casey Wilcox, was having a good preseason of his own. And then Darius Jackson here, wide open running lane. Easy yardage. First half winding down, one last play for Urban as he takes a shot for Whitaker, who goes up for it to make the touchdown grab. It's so conflicting seeing these backups like Whitaker continue to make plays, but know that there isn't a great chance for them to get on the field regularly with players like Shepard and Allen in front of them. Into the second half now, a big spin there. Larry Wilbur lost his footing completely, but we force a fumble. And this was Jatavis Brown. Learning something from Denzel Perryman, it would appear. Then we go hand it off from Cornelius Gunn to Steven Smiley. I like the fight there through the contacts. Then we go back to defense. Hand off here to Hines, and he meets Kendall Treader. Not making as many plays as APP, but definitely had some good run stops. And then Hines taking down here Tyrone Brightfoot clean off the edge. Didn't really get to see a ton of Brightfoot getting tested in coverage. I would have liked to. But here was one play he did where he nearly came away with the interception. Now, where Brightfoot fits into our defense is in that single high safety or that free safety in a cover 3. Because range is so important for both of those roles, and they're two of our primary defenses. So that's why the pick for Brightfoot was made. He does have more range than Costin, and I think more upside. But Jatavis Brown, he was definitely having a great preseason in run defense, and here, of course, doing his thing in pass defense. 37 seconds now. A pass down the middle here to Whitaker as we try getting this game tied up. Because who doesn't want some preseason overtime? And then Cornelius Gunn just trying to freelance. And it works out. Steven Smiley inside the 20. Not often you'll get away with a pass like that, but it worked. Then as time expires off his back foot, Whitaker pulls it down, but only at the 3-yard line as the preseason came to an end. We did go 0 for 4, but I thought we had a number of standouts that are going to help us when the games actually count. So that takes us to the end of preseason action here with the San Diego Chargers in Season 4. Now as we get to the regular season, let's take a look at our injury report. Hunter Henry will miss 3 games, Casey Wilcox will miss 4, and Zach Bogan will miss 5. No one's going on IR, but these are all pretty significant blows to our offense, I feel. Henry, of course, over 800 yards last year. Casey Wilcox, I wanted to find a role for him. And then you have, of course, Zach Bogan, our kick returner. I really wanted to find roles for Bogan and Wilcox on offense, but that is going to have to wait. Those injuries did definitely affect our final roster, as Darius Jackson did make it, whereas he wouldn't have otherwise, and he's actually not even practice squad eligible. I did put Cornelius Gunn on the practice squad along with many of the players that you saw in this preseason. And then the Bears signed Morris Whitaker, a fullback, off of our practice squad. So we have no longer a fullback on this team, as I did release Derek Watt. He just wasn't used very often and I wanted that roster spot. So the surprise additions now are Sylvester Arsenault, along with Darius Jackson, who will probably handle kick return duties while Zach Bogan is injured. Now you see Michael Scantlebury also made the team. I'm going to make one more roster move before the games begin. We open now on the road against the Broncos and then in Kansas City. We have a really tough opening schedule as we then face the Jets and the Packers. The only injury for the Broncos is their nose tackle Jordan Phillips, so we are the more injured team right now. The top of the roster looks very similar. Many long-term players there, and then Clifford Thorpe, the former Heisman Trophy winner. Paxton Lynch is still their starting quarterback and progressing fairly well. They're not a great vertical team right now, but Lynch can get it done at the other areas of the field. Their third receiver on the depth chart is J.C. Bowens, a player that Casey Hayward shut down last year in 2 games. But I look at his skill set and I want to see if that's going to be the case again this year. Because if he's playing well, they already have Emmanuel Sanders and Demaryius Thomas. So it could be a very scary trio there in Denver. So here are career stats, by the way, for those that want to see those. But the last roster move I want to make here is to let Michael Scantlebury either go to the practice squad or just outright cut him. And we're going to sign Joe Corner off the Vikings practice squad. He is basically a direct opposite of Scantlebury, where he is like a man cover specialist, whereas Scantlebury is the zone specialist. But I want to maybe pick up Joe Corner and see if he can be good depth for us. So that's going to take us to the end of the preseason, and week 1 is now on the way. There won't be a long wait. Check back on my channel this Friday for week 1 against the Denver Broncos. Thank you all for watching today's episode. If you enjoyed, please leave a like and subscribe. Also, comment your feedback below, and I will see you all next time. Have a great day.